The rain poured relentlessly under the bright gray morning sky as a black luxury sedan stopped in front of a small countryside house. Thunder rolled in the distance while a woman in an elegant cream-colored suit stepped out without waiting for her driver to open the umbrella. She walked straight through the rain, climbed the worn wooden steps, and knocked firmly on the weathered front door. When the door slowly opened, a tired single father stood there holding a little girl's school backpack in one hand. Before he could ask why one of the richest women in America was standing on his porch, she looked into his eyes and quietly said the words that would change both of their lives forever. She needed a husband by Friday. Before this unforgettable story continues, if you believe kindness, second chances, and true love still exist in this world, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise. Your support helps us continue creating heartwarming stories that inspire millions around the world. Nathan Holloway had never imagined his life would become so quiet. 5 years earlier he had buried his wife after a long battle with leukemia, promising her that he would raise their daughter with the same love and strength they had always shared. Since then, every morning began before sunrise. He packed 8-year-old Ava's lunch, braided her hair after watching countless online tutorials, prepared breakfast, and then spent long days restoring antique furniture in a small workshop behind the house. The business barely covered the bills, but Nathan never complained. His daughter never went to bed without a bedtime story, a warm meal, and a reminder that she was deeply loved. The elegant woman standing at his door introduced herself as Celeste Ashford, founder and CEO of Ashford Dynamics, a global technology company worth billions. Her face was familiar from magazine covers and television interviews, but in person she looked nothing like the confident executive the world admired. Dark circles rested beneath her eyes, and the exhaustion she carried could not be hidden by expensive clothes or flawless makeup. She had spent months fighting a ruthless group of board members determined to remove her from the company her late father had built. Hidden inside an old family trust was a clause requiring the CEO to be married before the annual shareholder meeting. The deadline was only 4 days away. Every wealthy businessman she knew saw the situation as an opportunity rather than a partnership. They wanted her company, her influence, or the fortune attached to her name. None of them cared about the woman behind the title. Celeste had refused every proposal, even as the pressure grew stronger each day. Then, during a charity renovation project several months earlier, she met Nathan without revealing who she really was. Her volunteer group had arrived unexpectedly at his workshop after a delivery truck broke down nearby. Nathan welcomed complete strangers inside, offered everyone coffee, repaired the damaged trailer without charging a single dollar, and even built a wooden toy airplane for a frightened little boy waiting in the rain. He expected nothing in return. That memory never left her heart. Now, standing inside Nathan's modest living room while rain tapped softly against the windows, Celeste explained that she needed someone she could trust for a temporary marriage to protect her father's legacy. She offered enough money to erase every debt Nathan had ever carried and guarantee Ava's future education. Nathan listened carefully, but instead of looking impressed by the enormous financial offer, he quietly looked toward the family photographs hanging on the wall. Every picture reminded him of the promise he had made to his late wife, to build a life based on honesty, never desperation. As the conversation continued, Ava walked downstairs wearing her school uniform. Seeing the unfamiliar visitor with rainwater still dripping from her coat, she smiled politely and disappeared into the kitchen. A minute later she returned carrying a warm towel and a mug of hot chocolate with tiny marshmallows floating on top. She handed both to Celeste without saying anything more than a cheerful good morning. The billionaire felt tears forming in her eyes. Boardrooms filled with powerful executives had never shown her such simple, genuine kindness. Inside this tiny house, where every dollar mattered, generosity came naturally. Nathan apologized for the home's simplicity, but Celeste noticed something entirely different. The furniture had been lovingly restored by hand. Children's drawings decorated the refrigerator. Fresh flowers sat on the dining table in an old glass jar. The house wasn't luxurious, but it felt alive with warmth and love. She realized she had spent years living in mansions that had never felt as welcoming as this little home. Nathan finally admitted that he could never marry someone for money alone. His daughter deserved a father she could respect, not one willing to trade integrity for comfort. Celeste appreciated his honesty more than he realized. She confessed that his refusal was exactly why she had come. Every billionaire she knew had accepted immediately without asking a single question. Nathan was the first person who cared more about doing what was right than becoming rich. As the rain slowly began to fade and soft daylight filled the room, Nathan noticed an old silver locket hanging around Celeste's neck. It looked strangely familiar. Moments later, he opened a wooden memory box that had belonged to his late wife and discovered an identical photograph tucked inside an envelope she had written years before her death. Neither of them could have imagined that this forgotten photograph connected Nathan's family to Celeste's father in a way that would completely transform everything they believed about fate, family, and the extraordinary power of kindness. Nathan carefully removed the faded photograph from the wooden memory box and placed it beside the silver locket hanging around Celeste's neck. His hands trembled as he realized the two photographs had been taken on the same day more than 20 years earlier. Standing in the center of both pictures was Celeste's late father, Richard Ashford, smiling beside a young woman Nathan recognized immediately as his late wife, Hannah. Celeste stared at the photographs in disbelief. She had seen that image once as a child but had never known who the young volunteer standing beside her father was. Nathan explained that before Hannah became a teacher, she had spent several summers volunteering for a community housing project that built homes for families devastated by floods. She often spoke about a generous businessman who secretly donated building materials, paid workers anonymously, and refused every attempt to receive public recognition. She always described him as the kindest businessman she had ever met. Celeste smiled through tears because she knew exactly who that man had been. Her father had often said that one selfless volunteer had reminded him that success meant nothing unless it improved someone else's life. That volunteer had been Hannah. The discovery changed everything. What had begun as an unusual proposal suddenly felt like destiny quietly bringing two families back together. Nathan understood why Celeste had seemed strangely familiar the moment she stepped inside his home. She carried the same calm determination he remembered hearing about from Hannah. Whenever she spoke of Richard Ashford. The next morning, Nathan agreed to accompany Celeste to the company's headquarters, not because of the money, but because he believed Richard's life's work deserved to remain in the hands of someone who honored his values. Before leaving, Ava hugged her father tightly and reminded him that her mother always believed helping good people was never a mistake. At the annual board meeting, the directors confidently expected to remove Celeste as CEO. They were stunned when she entered with Nathan beside her. Several members openly questioned how a simple furniture craftsman could possibly stand beside one of the most powerful businesswomen in the country. Their doubts quickly filled the room, but Celeste remained calm. Before the vote began, the company's senior legal advisor requested permission to read a handwritten letter recently discovered inside Richard Ashford's personal records. The letter revealed that the marriage clause had never been created to force his daughter into a wealthy alliance. Instead, it was designed to protect the company from people who valued power over character. Richard wrote that if his daughter ever found someone whose honesty could not be bought, she should trust that person above anyone with fame or fortune. Silence filled the boardroom. Every director realized they had misunderstood Richard's intentions for years. Their attempt to pressure Celeste into a strategic marriage directly violated the spirit of his final wishes. One after another, they withdrew their objections. Celeste remained CEO, and for the first time since inheriting the company, she no longer had to fight for the right to lead. After the meeting, Nathan quietly thanked Celeste for her trust and prepared to return to his ordinary life with Ava. He believed his part in the story had ended. But as he reached the elevator, Celeste gently stopped him. During the days they had spent together, she had come to admire his patience, humility, and unwavering devotion as a father. She realized she had not fallen in love with a carpenter. She had fallen in love with a man whose heart remained kind despite every hardship life had placed before him. Nathan admitted he had discovered something equally rare. Behind the title of billionaire CEO was a compassionate woman carrying responsibilities that few people could understand. She had never asked him to become wealthy or powerful. She had simply trusted him because he had always chosen integrity over convenience. Months later, what had begun as a temporary agreement became a genuine love story. Surrounded by family, close friends, and children from the charity Richard and Hannah had once supported together, Nathan and Celeste exchanged vows in a beautiful garden ceremony filled with laughter instead of luxury. Ava proudly carried the flowers, smiling brighter than anyone as she welcomed Celeste into their family. Together they transformed Ashford Dynamics into a company that valued compassion as much as innovation. They funded scholarships for children who had lost a parent, created job programs for single mothers and fathers, and expanded affordable housing projects across the country. Every success reminded them that the greatest legacies are not measured in billions but in the lives changed through kindness. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes true love is built on character, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise for more emotional stories that inspire hope. Special request: please comment, kindness writes the most beautiful love stories. As golden sunlight broke through the clouds after the storm, Nathan looked at the home where everything had begun with a simple knock on the door. He realized that sometimes life's greatest blessings arrive unexpectedly, disguised as impossible choices. And Celeste finally understood that while money could build companies, only kindness could build a family that would.